everybody. I'm here today to talk to you about my driving routine for exiting the car. This will be a driving lesson for beginners, so let's get right into the video. I have a specific routine whenever I exit the car, okay? Now, this might be different than your routine or another person's routine, but this is what I do, and this is what I recommend doing for people that are learning how to drive. This is my exiting routine. Every single time I exit, I do each of these things. Let's get right into it. Number one is I put the car in park. That's because I drive automatic cars nowadays. Back in the day when I drove a manual vehicle, obviously I would leave it in second gear. That's my style. But you can leave it in neutral as well. It's up to you. But if you're driving automatic like me right now, put it in park. Step number one. Step number two is engage the parking brake, okay? Now you want to make sure that your parking brake is always engaged every time that you park the car. Doesn't matter whether you're parking the car on a hill or on a flat surface, engage your parking brake every single time. Some people recommend that you put your parking brake on before you put the car in park, which is usually what I tell people for when they're doing their driving test. But sort of what I've gone into the habit of doing is putting the car in park, then engaging the parking brake. As long as your foot is on the brake, when you engage that parking brake, I hold my foot on the brake, I put the car in park, then I engage the parking brake. Doesn't really matter the order, as long as your foot is on the brake, during both of those steps. Because then your car's not going to roll forward or backward even just a little bit. Sometimes you put the car in park, you release the brake, your car rolls back a little bit or forward. You want to avoid that, okay? So yeah, the second thing that I do is engage the parking brake. Number three, turn off the engine. I just wait for a second or two to make sure that everything sounds okay. I don't know why, but after I turn off the engine, I just wait a couple seconds, make sure that everything sounds good. I don't hear any buzzes or hums or anything like that, okay? Number four is remove the seatbelt, okay? So remove the seatbelt. Always, you should always be wearing your seatbelt. So remove your seatbelt. Very, very simple and straightforward, okay? Number five, get out of your car, okay? So once you have your seatbelt off, you want to get out of your car. And this next one is something that I do all the time. I just take a look after I'm out of the car. I open my back doors and I take a look at all the seats in the back, make sure that obviously I've dropped off all of my kids. It's just an added precaution. Like, I know that I've dropped them off, but just as an extra added precaution, whenever I get out of the car, I open the back doors and I check all of the seats in the back as well as the passenger seat here, make sure that I've dropped off all my kids. The interesting thing about it is that even if I'm not with my kids, right? So even if, like, today I'm driving and I'm actually not with my kids, my wife has my kids, my wife has our kids, I still check the back door every time. It's a habit, and like I said, that's what I do specifically. I'm telling you about my routine. So after I get out of the car, I check all of the other seats, make sure that I've dropped off all my kids and that my kids, are taken care of, basically, that I've dropped them off where they need to go, okay? Very simple. Make sure that those seats are all empty. Very straightforward. I don't need to go into more detail than that, okay? Once I've done that, obviously, I lock the vehicle, okay? So the doors are closed, I lock the vehicle. Now with this Honda, like before with my old cars, I used to push the lock button twice till I heard the honk. But now with these modern vehicles, like, you just push the button and then beep, it just does a small beep and everything's locked. So really, really convenient, and it doesn't attract a lot of attention. So lock the vehicle, okay? Number seven is I observe where I parked. Every single time I exit the car, I look at where I parked. I look around at where I parked. Very, very important. I look everywhere to get my boundaries for where I parked. Even when I'm going to work, where I park in a very similar spot most of the time, I still look at where I'm parked, just so I know and I can sort of be cognizant of what's happening around me. It's a key factor, so I'm not too rushed. I live a pretty rushed lifestyle in terms of I really at all times I'm taking on 3, 4, 5 roles at once, okay? So with being that busy, I take those couple seconds after I get out of the car just to get my grounds. Okay, this is where I parked. Everything's okay. I did everything that I need to do before I leave this car alone and I go to work or go to the mall, whatever the case is, okay? Lastly, number 8 is make sure that I parked properly in the spot, okay? Now, most of the time, I will tell you, most of the time I do park nicely in between the lines, but there are times in which I get out of the car, I do this whole process, and I look and I'm like, oh wait, I'm on the line. I get back in my car and I move it. I can say comfortably that I've pretty much never left my car parked on a line. Even if I'm the only car in the parking lot, because I park at the back of all the parking lots wherever I go. I park like the furthest spots. It's just what I do. Even if I'm the only car there, I park between the lines because I know it's just a pain when you see someone that's parked on the line and then everyone else has to park on the lines as well beside them. I don't want to be that person. So I just make sure that the car is parked properly. That's it. And then, you know, I'm done. I go about my day, my afternoon, my evening, my morning, whatever I'm doing. That is my exiting routine for exiting the car, okay? Now, like I said, you might have a slightly different routine depending on your situation and your vehicle and stuff, but that's what I do. So that's it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.